Hello, my name is Peggy Peterson. This is March the 24th, 2024. I did a deputation to the District of Muskoka to their Community and Planning Committee on March 21st, 2024, and that meeting is on their webpage. We just had a little bit of trouble with the volume and a few other things, so I'm doing a new recording. I'm going to read out my deputation. I'm not going to be in as much of a rush, so I'm just going to take my time, and so this is what I want to share. This is my rebuttal to the climate change emergency narrative. My name is Peggy Peterson, and I have lived in Muskoka for 56 years. I follow local issues to the best of my ability, and I was very surprised to learn in January that local governments were already spending millions of dollars in taxpayers' money on a climate change emergency narrative. And I have been speaking to this issue ever since and sharing the message that there is no climate change emergency. Nothing that requires the attention of the people of Muskoka, including deputations that were made in the town of Huntsville on February the 28th in the theater. Please take the time to listen to this information. It is critical that you consider that this grand, expensive effort to save the planet from carbon and CO2 is nonsense. You, as elected officials, are responsible for doing your own research and your own due diligence to verify what I am saying today is true, and it can be supported with real science. I challenge any adult in any community to research the United Nations Agenda 21 and, of course, Agenda 2030 to see the playbook. If you have any sense of responsibility to future generations, you owe it to them to investigate that you are being lied to by greedy narcissists hiding behind a veil of saving the planet from the humans. I want to be clear. Any consideration that the Earth is in peril from rising CO2 levels and car emissions in Muskoka has absolutely no basis in peer-reviewed science. This crazy narrative was created by the UN globalist agenda, unelected people who have no interest in the welfare of the men and women of Muskoka or anywhere else. Today I am speaking in an special effort to educate the youth and children. There is no climate change emergency. It's a hoax. You've been lied to. All responsible adults need to stop any more fear being put on children, teaching them to be afraid of something that does not exist. Misinformation is one thing, but these are just pure manipulations of the facts and telling everyone to fear for our future of the planet. It is truly irresponsible and abhorrent behavior, and it must stop. We must ensure everyone that the planet is not in peril from climate change. Everyone has a moral obligation to determine what I am saying is a lie. Yes, it is up to you to prove your climate change emergency with real facts and real science. The onus is on you to do the research. There is one truth we can all agree on. The problem that climate change is man-made. It's not what you think. Let me explain. There's peer-reviewed research, and clearly the weather is being artificially manipulated to make us think the sky is falling. HAARP, H-A-A-R-P, high-powered frequencies being used in the ionosphere. These instruments are now found all over the world on various scales of strength. The globalists are geoengineering our skies with chemical and metal-filled chemtrails to create a sun-blocking haze and manufacture the weather while contaminating our lands and waters and interfering with all our natural biosphere. Here in Muskoka, we have provable science, and the people of Muskoka need to stop and look up next time. We are being sprayed like bugs here almost daily. All of this happens as a result of the globalist agenda. The world's weather is controlled by people who are not elected by us. They are the globalists connected to the United Nations agendas and its directives. Globalists telling our elected officials what to do and when to do it. And just in case you doubt the UN influence, I have a copy here of the Huntsville climate change emergency declared with orders from the United Nations and signed by the mayor on June 28, 2021. As elected officials, you must consider everything you agree to and everything you sign, knowing that if this climate emergency is proven to be untrue, you could be held personally liable for any harm that was a consequence of your actions. We will not even know our natural climate, what it is, until we stop HAARP, the geoengineering of our skies, including the 5G and the electromagnetic radiation and these harmful frequencies. You already have the facts here at the district about the ongoing manipulation of weather patterns using electromagnetic radiation and the harm to all life that this council learned about when Dr. Magda Havas spoke to you last year. Dr. Havas is a global expert on these matters. The truth about the planet must be shared, and sooner people understand this, the better. The fear this false narrative is creating in the hearts and minds of our children and youth is unacceptable. We are seeing these lies taught in schools, and that must be stopped. The science proves the planet does not need saving. This globalist agenda is mostly a money machine, but control and power are all a big part of it. Follow the money. Always follow the money. This agenda was created by people who want the earth for themselves, and they will do almost anything to get it, including lying to you about a climate change emergency. Fear is the weapon of choice for these people. And because they own the mainstream media, they get away with the lies. The climate change hoax is one of many. There's a spider web of lies allowing a quiet takeover of every level of government in this nation. Huntsville and Muskoka are not alone in the myth of a climate emergency. Let me explain how this happened. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney signed us up with the United Nations and surrendered our national sovereignty to this unelected body known as the UN. One man's signature. This led to the usurpation of authority, and our local autonomy was replaced by further directives by the UN called the Municipal Primer. This primer was a non-binding agreement, and it ordered Canada into adopting Agenda 21 and then Agenda 2030. The UN began to tell us what to do and when to do it, and it was adopted across every level of government with no research or due diligence by the signatories at the time. Let me make this clear to everyone listening. Net zero is nonsense, and if we actually followed the agenda to net zero and believed this mad war on carbon, most of life would suffer and over time die. The false narrative that we are facing extinction due to high CO2 levels is criminal. You see, CO2 is the gas of life because once you understand the science, you cannot help but see the truth. Photosynthesis, something we all learned in public school science. Life on Earth is the result of green things, like trees and plants breathing in CO2 from the air, creating a process that separates the carbon molecule from the oxygen molecules. The green things exhale the oxygen for living things like humans and dogs, and the earth absorbs the carbon and sequesters it. Net zero makes no sense when you understand the science. And the truth is, the polar bears are fine. In fact, there are 7 times the number since measured in 1942. The polar caps are the thickest they have been in 21 years. The planet is actually in a measurable CO2 drought and actually needs more of it since it is CO2 that creates all green growth. The entire planetary green biomass is expanding everywhere, except in the clear cuts of South America because they are destroying the source of the biomass with horrendous destruction of the rainforests. More destruction driven by the same agenda. The sea levels have been stable to within 1 millimeter in the last 21 years. Check the Statue of Liberty in New York. You want to look at water levels. The temperature of the planet has not changed in 18 years, and climate-related deaths have been plummeting forever and reflect the lowest level in recorded history. Also, A key consequence of abundant photosynthesis is the sequester of carbon. There's another big lie you need to know. The sequester of the carbon captured by green things during photosynthesis create oil and gas. Oil and gas were falsely called fossil fuels to trick you into believing they were scarce, even though they were a natural effluent and constantly being produced by our sentient planet. I love sharing good news. How about this fact? There is already an abundant source of free energy all around us without burning anything. Nikola Tesla proved it clearly. However, when the oil barons realized we could have free energy, they destroyed him and they hid his technology. We will see the entire transformation of our power grid over the next 5 years, so everyone will benefit from this wonderful clean technology. It is great news. The world does not need to be saved. Our Earth is a sentient and living entity who is working with us to remove this blight on society. There are action items for the good people of Muskoka, and the first one is to collectively declare a ban on geoengineering in our skies by stopping the chemtrails and the expansion of the 5G technology. We do need to stop the harmful frequencies filling our daily lives. I hope to see a motion on the floor of the district as soon as the research and the due diligence is completed. And if you want to doubt me, I ask all of you to consider, when was the last time you had to clean the bugs off your windshield? Just think about that. There are many issues that we've been lied to about, and climate change is just one part of the plan to weaken humanity and deny us our health, wealth, and happiness. In 2020, they tested us, taking our freedoms with mandates and lockdowns and false testing and outright medical tyranny, all complements of the same agenda. Crimes against humanity at the highest level, forced experimental vaccines, even though there was no evidence that these forced injections were either safe or effective or even approved. When you realize what is true and what is false, you will understand. There is no climate emergency. You've all been lied to. These same people control the weather, and they control the food supply, and they are trying to control the farmers and the truckers. They behave like a government and control our land use practices, and they think they control the law, but they only control the fake legal. They can make weather, they can make droughts, they can make floods, they can make earthquakes, they can even make volcanoes if properly motivated. All of it powerful propaganda that the climate is having an emergency. All of it well financed, well planned, and well hidden. It's also ridiculous to push to stop local emissions when our entire economy in Muskoka depends on cottagers and tourism. Has anyone given this any consideration? So now that you know there's no climate emergency, we need a full stop in pushing this agenda, and we must stop all public-private partnerships introducing electric cars, a technology that has proven to be a problem in Muskoka winters, and we must acknowledge the risk of explosions. We must always be cautious on the side of safety in these situations, and a compromised EV is dangerous and it can be deadly. More history to consider regarding lawful authority to pass laws and tax the men and women will be included in your package. When Canada became a corporation, and subsequently all cities, towns, and municipalities became corporations, everything changed. This act compromised our public trust and the separation of powers. The truth will shock everyone who hears it, because the documents included in your package will include the Clearfield Doctrine, which proves that all corporations are under the international law of commerce, and corporations have no lawful authority to create law or enforce taxation on the governed of Canada. I'm going to say that again. It proves, the Clearfield Doctrine proves that all corporations are under the international law of commerce, and corporations have no lawful authority to create law or enforce taxation on the governed in Canada. The Clearfield Doctrine from 1943 states this fact in its Supreme Court precedent-setting case, and you will receive copies of these documents and a copy of the POGG Primer for Peace, Order, and Good Governance, written by Sheila McFarlane, in your source packages. I am also questioning that Huntsville and Bracebridge elected council are in a conflict of interest. When they discuss using more electricity in Muskoka, because both the Corporation of Huntsville and the Corporation of Bracebridge, together with the Parry Sound Corporation, are majority shareholders in Lakeland Holdings and receive dividends. I ask the chair and all of you to consider my challenge that there is a pecuniary interest, conflict of interest, and these persons should declare it so. There seems to be a loss of critical thinking happening here, when no one has the sense to realize that lowering emissions in Muskoka's 4,000 square kilometers will have no measurable consequence for the planet. We must stop the millions of dollars being budgeted for this false emergency, especially when you understand that 2/3 of the world is ignoring the UN agenda because it makes no common sense. Thank you very much. Please share this message. We've got to get the youth to understand that, they're being lied to, and we're going to have a good summer. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Please share. Feel free to copy it and do a deputation to your town. Pick what you like and use it. Bye.